we're here with magical light show expert, Tom BetGeorge. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the show. So you just put out your 2025 full Christmas show. Tell me a little bit about it. What number year was this for you?
We started in 2013, so 13, it would be 12, or would it be 13? Yeah, it's like you have to count the 13, so yeah. It might be literally, I think 2013 was the first year, so it might be the 13th show.
Yeah, I was looking on your YouTube channel, and I think the first one that really blew up for you was like January of 2014. It was your Christmas show. Mm-hmm. You got like 10 million views. What was your full-time gig before you started doing these light shows for fun and putting them up on YouTube?
At that time, I was a music director for a conservatory. So I would teach music at the conservatory. Then I also was a part-time as a worship director at my church, which I actually still am today.
Oh, awesome. You got a ton of views and a ton of traffic from these light shows, just putting them up on YouTube and your social channels. Does this kind of work support you year-round?
Oh, yeah,
if
absolutely.
You don't mind me asking?
No, it's okay. So the way that most of or actually I'm not sure if most of it is the right way. I'll just split it into thirds. I don't know the actual percentages. I probably should. I'm not much of a business person. I'm more of a creative person.
That's all right.
But I would say probably a third of our income that happens all year long. It's just people who use our programming. So we have 11,000, I think, customers that have used our programming. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we've been there on site, not at all, but it's more like 11,000 houses or businesses have downloaded sequences from our website to use. So like we'll do the programming on our house, and then they'll take that programming and re-implement it. So those sales happen all year round. Another third of the income is probably our installs that we do. So we do like commercial installations at theme parks, large businesses, hotels, and that sort of thing. And then another third is maybe like, product sales and that sort of thing.
Oh,
it's not exactly those percentages, but it just...
No, yeah, in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So quick plug for your first third of that business is magicallightshows.com. At one point, like when you were making these videos and they were going viral, did you say like, oh, I could make a business out of this? Where was the switch there?
It was 2015 when I got hired to do a commercial project. And then in like 2 weeks of work, I was making what I made in 3 months of work. Wow. And then I'm like, oh, geez, like this is like, up to that point, I've been always an employee, like of a school where you're not going to be making, I mean, you don't go into education for the money, right? But I was like, whoa, this is like really, really helpful. At the time I was saving up money for, I think, a wedding and a house at the same time. So I'm like, oh, this is actually really, really cool. So that's when the switch kind of happened. The funny thing is, I think to this day, we never really advertised our services. It's just been organic. And by organic, I mean we just put out videos, and we're just doing like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And then organizations reach out to us and say, hey, that'd be cool if you did that for us.
Right. Organic is the best kind of advertising anyway. Best way to promote yourself. I mean, I think the only advertising that I've ever seen from you guys was like your truck, the wrap on your truck.
Oh yeah, and I guess like nothing. I don't think we've ever got a single job, but when we travel across the country,
it's good brand exposure.
Yeah, a couple of the team members, hey, we might as well like wrap it. I'm like, okay, we'll do that. At first I'm like, I don't know if I want to, because I don't want people to think like, oh, there must be something valuable inside that truck and make us more prone to being like robbed or whatever. But
right,
we've never been broken into.
At one point, Spirit was like, well, we've got the 1.4 placard on there, the fireworks placard, so it's kind of a dead giveaway. So we might as well just like ride in style and have a full wrap. Real quick. Tell me what the tagline is on your guys' truck wrap, because I love it.
We don't do this because it's easy. We do this because we thought it would be.
I love that so much. This is a whole passion project. Your holiday shows really run by volunteers.
Just for clarity, not total volunteers, right? So we have team members, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
That's why we call that kind of a patch. Like, so like it's a
patchwork of some volunteers.
Yeah, it's like a combination, because obviously we have team members who are getting paid for their time too, right? So, but like I'm just more of like overseeing the project. I'm in it. I'm in the programming, but it's not like, oh, this is Tom's work at all.
Creative director.
No. Yeah, exactly. So this is really a team effort on what we can do together. We're all driven like, wouldn't it be rad if we did this? And then we work together to pull it off.
Go for it. Baer in the hole.
Well, speaking of your 2025 show, for those listening, if you watch that show, you can tell that, as you said, Tom, it's a team effort. There's a lot of moving pieces and parts and creative inspiration and collaboration going on there. Tom, real quick, can you kind of tell me like a quick rundown of all the different effects you used in this show and maybe like what was new this year?
Yeah, absolutely. The heart of our show is always pixel programming, which is, just the pixels that are all over the house and through our props. We've already and continue to use lasers as well. Lasers is headed up by Doren, who's extremely talented at laser work. And then we've been doing fireworks through Haines.
3, 2, 1. That's exactly what we needed. That's great.
Dan Haines is super talented in fireworks as well. This year we added that we have not done before, projection mapping, and that was headed up by Jorden Nash.
Woo! I love Christmas! Woo! Christmas lights! I love Christmas lights!
Oh, God, it is too early for that energy.
And that was really cool because in addition to adding content through projection mapping, we also just use the projection to sometimes moonlight, as we say, the house, which helps to just let you know there's a house there. A lot of times when you see light shows on the internet, it just looks like dots on a screen because when it's dark, it doesn't even look real. It looks like a visualizer. Lighting the house through projection mapping allows us to see the house perfectly, and which really, really helps on camera, especially since I live out in the country. And then when the lights are off, it's just like pitch black. There's no ambient light unless there's moonlight, and that's why we call it moonlighting. And then in addition to that, this year we also added a water fountain, which is super, super new. Like when I say new, it was installed 3 days before we filmed. So we were playing with it in our shop while we were building it, but we only had, literally 2 days of programming in front of the house while we're also trying to get all the other technology working. So we figured we get our, pun intended, feet wet with the first one. And then next year, by the time we're filming, we'll have a lot more of that. We also introduced spark jets, which spark jets are, it's like a firework, it's pyro. It's basically a cold spark with an air compressor inside of it that launches it like 30 feet up. So it's kind of like a firework, but instead of it being like, you light it and you sort of thing, it's basically just like a cold spark machine. And those are pretty cool because we got the V2s, which allows you to do three hits within a few seconds or in succession. I think the projection mapping and the water are the newest technologies. Everything else we've been using, and of course we've been using for years, moving head technology, which is just the beams, stage lighting. But we did switch over to a better beam, and that just, it looked amazing on camera. For the first time, we were able to pull off colors like really, really solidly with beams, which we usually avoided like the plague before, because just without like a ton of particulate matter, it's hard to see. And we added no particulate matter. It was just whatever's in the atmosphere. We used no haze machines, no foggers. Obviously, occasional fireworks smoke was in there, but that usually just makes it more patchy. So,
Gotcha. Did you have a total count, like fixture count?
No.
Did you ever get a total count?
Yeah, because honestly, we're not. I don't think it's even an impressive number. I don't know what the number is. It's not going to be like 5,000, 10,000. Obviously, it'll be like much higher than that. Pixel count. It's not like we have like 1 million pixels or anything like that, and we don't pride ourselves with more. It's more like
right. It's like what does it need?
Yeah, and like what does the story need? What do we need to pull it off? And we don't like things on top of things. Mm-hmm. We don't like to put props on top of props on top of props. No, because then you just kind of waste.
It's just
it just kind of gets. It looks. I prefer more of a clean look. So even though, obviously, compared to an average person's Christmas lights, right, it's going to be a lot. But as far as in the industry, I don't think it's impressive as far as quantity. We definitely try to aim for quality over that.
Definitely. That makes sense. I genuinely thought that it all looked super clean, super cohesive. It wasn't like overwhelming, which is really, I feel like, easy to do with all of those things going together. The choreography was just spot on. For the lighting and SFX nerds out there, what kinds of brands do you recommend for some of that stuff?
For pixels and beams, we actually recommend our own brand, which is Magicolor, and not because we have it. We use that because we do think it's the best value, the best bang for your buck. For like spark jets, we use Chauvin for fire, Chauvin. For fireworks, obviously Spirit of 76, gorgeous fireworks. Dan uses the Cobra firing systems. We use Pangolin laser software. I think that's all the main stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then the lasers and projections. Did you have any?
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And like the
we use
fountain.
BenQ projection.
Okay.
And then Drake, I have Unity lasers myself, and then when Drake comes he brings lasers himself, and he has his own custom lasers as well. But we use Pangolin software, but I believe the lasers themselves are unbranded.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you run it all with X-Lights, right?
Yeah, X-Lights is what's running the pixels, the beams, and occasional fire, and of course spark jets, that sort of stuff. Anything DMX run. Mm-hmm. But we coordinate using time code, and we just use linear time code through the audio. So what we do is we just take we'll take our stereo track running through X-Lights or through a Falcon Pi player or something similar to that, and we'll have the left side go to house, so what we hear and what the audience hears. Right side has the embedded time code on it with the hours representing the tracks, and then we usually add like 5 to 10 seconds of time code to the beginning of every single track to make sure all the various systems have the time code before we start launching fireworks or something that we can't get back right away. So lasers, the fireworks, and projection are being connected via timecode. Projection is being run on Resolume to be able to accept the timecode. Gotcha. And Cobra systems accept timecode directly, and Pangolin accepts timecode directly.
Gotcha. And I may have asked this last year, but how does that creative collaboration happen when you've got multiple different, like, you've got your laser script, projection script, fireworks script, and light script? How does that work individually? Did each person kind of get the audio file and start kind of scripting to that, and then like you add it all together? Was there like a little bit of like a mixture? How did that work?
Well, we sent out an audio file, of course, to everybody, but we don't just tell them, hey, do whatever you want, because we call that operating in silos. And then it usually does not end well because then everyone's running over each other. So instead what we do is we make a Excel sheet. And I think this year, me and Matt started on the sheet. I can't remember if anyone else like jumped in on it. And then of course each team member, when they were adding notes too, like we would write down on this giant Excel, or actually specifically a Google sheet that's the shared doc, and it'd be planned out. So like colors is always like falls on me, so I'll always say, hey, we want this color firework or this color laser at this moment from this time code to this code. And what we do is we try to create spaces for each form of art to operate. Now there's some moments where like the downbeat of a chorus where there might be like 6 things all happening at once. That's okay for a moment, but we definitely create spots where it's only fireworks, it's only beams, only lasers, and then we specify that in the Excel sheet. We're like, hey, don't worry, we got this note covered, but this synth, we really want the lasers to do. This downbeat that's really, really powerful, we really want the fireworks to do. We really want to do the beams in this, and that way people don't spend hours of work and then we just delete it at the end, which is very frustrating for each team member. And we've been through that too. We learned the hard way. We're like, when everyone does whatever they think, and then we come together and we're like, oh no, we already have that handled, and now it just looks messy. Which makes sense, but it's still kind of demoralizing if you spent 20 hours on like this 1 minute of programming and then we delete it anyway. So to combat that and to be more proactive, now we're like, hey, we're going to give you this. We're not touching it. Whatever you do, we're going to, but use these colors, land on these notes, use these sort of effects, right? So we create these parameters.
Collaboration mode.
Yeah, and then every once in a while someone says like, oh, what would be really cool? What if we did this? And we're like, yeah, that makes sense. And like, and then they'll add it and they'll put it in the Excel sheet. And that way we're accommodating it. And then we'll share files with each other. Me or Matt or Steve will upload like the video of what the pixels look like. And then Dan might upload the what the video of the fireworks looks like, of like a rendering of Finale 3D. And then we'll go back and forth. And that way we all have a really, really good idea. And that way when Drake's working on lasers, he already knows it's like, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm going to be able to complement that. And one of the big things that we did this
easily
year...
overpower almost anything. Or like, they'll still show a lot of the time.
Yeah, because lasers are obviously 3D, right? They come in front.
Yeah.
So one of the big things that we do is... Watching what we did this year that was really, really great was... after Halloween, and we ended up like having to remove a lot of programming that was like really unfortunate for the whole team. We're like, this is messy, and it was a bummer. Me, Matt, and Drake had like a little meeting. We're talking about what if we got the lasers up even higher and out of the way, and that way, when they're higher and out of the way, when they're shooting in and they're being terminated above the camera, they're not blocking into the pixels, so they could be happening at the same time. And it was a little bit crazy, but we got some extra very heavy truss systems, on top of the roof, and then we added a 15-foot tall, 30-foot wide-ish truss system to terminate the lasers up high. Once we did that, we literally didn't cut a single laser this year, which was amazing. So like everything Drake did, we got to keep, which was awesome. Because it wasn't cutting in the way. Where last year we had lasers lower on the ground, so when the lasers came on, they cut over the pixels, and then instead of it like complementing, it looks like you had to choose one or the other because because it didn't look good to be like right on top of each other. So that was kind of a tricky thing.
A great move. Even though it looked a little complicated with the setup, but I mean, I thought it looked pretty clean after they were up.
Oh, yeah. It looked awesome, and that really worked out, and that was great for everybody because it's like, hey, it's also encouraging if you know the work you're putting into something isn't going to be deleted because it interferes with something else. So that was awesome. Yeah, so that was really cool.
With like all this collaboration going on, especially where you're like, okay, I'm gonna, identify these scenes and these colors. This effect gets its moment here, and this effect gets its moment here. I feel like your musical background really lends itself to that because you're like a composer, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're orchestrating a symphony, basically. Everything kind of comes together cohesively and not just like all the time.
Right, and it's also like it's just more like just having like a style because like every single person on the team could do their own show completely by themselves and it'd be different. But what we do is we just kind of like we have like a style, and we tend to be very literal. We don't program to the emotional response that we have from the music. We literally program to the music, and that's kind of like the style that's become like Magical Light shows. And then when team members come over here, they might do things differently on their own. When we come together, we get very, very literal. But then it's a cohesive style because if everyone just did their own style, even if it was great programming in and by itself, it wouldn't really mesh well. So we just create parameters, and then all the time the team members who are all, like I said, I can't say it enough how talented they are. Their ideas are awesome, and then we're like, hey, you know what? We were planning this, but what you came up with is so much better. Delete, forget everything I said, right? So we just kind of create parameters so they have the right direction. But every once in a while, we'll have someone like, hey, you know what? What if we did this? Check this out. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was epic. Like let's delete what we did and let's like leave room for that. There's been moments where like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing, but it doesn't fit. Like sometimes we find these things like that looks awesome, and we don't like to. Hey, we have a laser. Where can we use the laser? That it's almost like. It feels backwards. We like to start with the music where it feels like this has to be a laser, and or this has to be water. We don't have water. We're adding water. I mean, that's how fireworks actually came into the show a couple years ago. We're like, this needs fireworks, and it's not like the elements have an emotional attachment to them. If the fountain comes on once for 2 seconds during a 25-minute show, well, great. That's all we need. If that's what the music calls for, that's what we're going to do. But we're not going to force a triangle into a circle hole.
Right.
So what are these that are just fading out the strobes? What were they?
Those are silver strobe waterfalls.
You guys had a live audience this year, too.
Yes. Out of the 3 last filmings, we did it twice, but not last year because of a huge amount of rain. This year we had no rain, which was great, but just like not fog, but like haze. It was like starting to set in. We were getting nervous, so yeah, we wanted to film probably a half an hour later than we started, but we decided to push forward because we saw like what looked like to be fog clouds rolling in. And because even though lasers and beams might look cooler, the cameras get totally messed up. You get condensation, it gets blurry. And you can't even see the fireworks, especially when the fog rolls in. You can't even see the house from the filming point. So it would be a no-go.
And it was so crazy because like I live in Missouri, and so California in my head is like, oh, it's gonna be dry, it's gonna be fine. But then it started fogging up, and all our cameras were fogging up in the evening whenever it started getting cooler. And I'm like, I'm from the Midwest, I'm used to this. But like, I didn't even realize, because you're out there for like several hours, because with lights you can like turn those on and keep recording all night, versus in the fireworks world we only have limited shots. So, shoot the show and clean up and we're done out of there by midnight usually. But you guys are like going till like the sunrise, which is absolutely insane. And the cameras are like fogging up, and like because of all the temperature changes and this fog rolling in, and so that's wild. But back to your audience. So you had like several hundred people at least invited to come out, and which is pretty cool that you were like able to offer that to the local community. And I noticed that you guys were collecting donations. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you were collecting donations for?
Yeah, we it's like this battle, right? Like, we don't like to get donations to the show because like we do this because we want to. We don't want people to feel like But like sometimes people are like, well, no, we want to give. I'm like, okay, well, don't give to me because it just feels wrong. In the past, we have worked with a lot of organizations that it's always been something connected to the homeless or needy. For the past few years, we've been working with an organization called Haven of Peace. By the way, I'm not sure if you noticed, we just got sunlight, which is crazy. For the second time in 3 weeks. This was the second time right now. You can see the glow that just changed.
Oh my goodness.
That fog that you saw, it was the Thule fog. We had it, and it's been just caked on the Central Valley of California since maybe it's more than 3 weeks. It was about a week before filming, and it hasn't. It's going away.
No.
But I missed my son. But it was funny. And then we're about to lose it for another week. But anyways, back to your question. Haven of Peace is an amazing shelter for women and children, and it's great because it's not just a shelter. It's actually a place that helps rehabilitate people. So help them get jobs, get back on their feet, save money for a place. And I've always had a heart for organizations like that. So it's not just like giving out handouts. It's like, how can we rehabilitate you, help you get back on your feet? And I'm really, really passionate about it. The director is this wonderful person who really cares about the people. So we really love the organization. So anytime we can raise money for something, we raise it for Haven of Peace. They're a small organization south of the Stockton area. And there's a lot of need in this area. And they do an amazing job of rehabilitating people. So that's the organization we raise money for.
That's sweet. I was really, it was like super heartwarming to see that you guys were collecting donations for that. Do you guys think that you raised a little bit?
I actually haven't even counted it, and I'm going to tell you something really ridiculous. We were just laughing about it. We haven't even opened the donation box yet. Whatever the donations were, we'll just match it, and then we're going to give it to Haven of Peace directly.
Oh, that's cool. You match it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then are you guys planning to do another one? Because it's not Christmas yet. Are you going to do a live Christmas viewing, or is Christmas like
we don't know. Well, definitely not on Christmas Day itself. On Christmas Eve, I'm at church the whole time. I'm doing Christmas Eve services. But on Christmas Day, we spend time with family. But the thing that's tricky is actually the rain. So normally, I would just say tomorrow would be our ideal time because it's a Friday before Christmas. It's a good time to watch lights. But I think literally starting tomorrow, we're having a storm that might sit around for 7 days. So if the storm is nothing, we'll probably do a impromptu, very last second, hey, if you guys want to come check out the show before the rain gets bad. But once it gets like flooded, and it gets too muddy, we just can't. And one day if we're able to afford to build a proper parking lot, no problem, right? But people park in a field right now, and we we're not.
You don't want 100 cars stuck in your back lawn. That's not great.
No, yeah, exactly.
Speaking of like your set here, and I say set. It's kind of funny because you live in this house that we see in these videos now. Yeah. And you were telling me when we were there that you bought it specifically because it has so much room on the front so that you can do these projections. What is that like? Because you're living, I mean, this is your home and your family's there, but you're also going outside and you're like, okay, it's about nighttime, we got to go work. And then your set is like your front yard.
It's perfect. It's the dream because my commute to work is 0, right?
Right.
So like I love that aspect of it because if I had to go somewhere and it's 2 a.m., like, you don't want to do it. But if it's like you're just walking outside, it's way easier to work on it. And if we were to have a nightly show, it would be overwhelming. And I think a lot of people do in this industry, they have like nightly shows. I think that can get stressful. Since we only pick a handful of days, it doesn't have that same anxiety-inducing pressure. But and we also live out, I mean, as you know, I mean, Sam, you came, of course, and did BTS with us. We're out in the country, right? So, like, no one drives on our street. It's very intentional, right? If you're not going to our house, you're not going on the street. Whereas I used to live in a normal cul-de-sac, I would be programming, and people would just stop by and start talking, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, like, but then I would never get anything done because you know, they would see the lights and they would just start talking, and I would feel bad. I'm like, hey, like, well, if it's okay, I just want to get back to it. Like, but you don't want to be rude, but like, if you have people there nonstop. And then, of course, when we had like beams in the sky and it's like 2 a.m. and I'm programming, the only people that tend to show up are people who are like, I'm literally they're mostly high. They're like, we saw these lights in the sky and we thought we'd come find them, and then we're here, and they start asking ridiculous questions because they're also like under the influence, and I'm like, should you be driving right now? Like, and it's just but literally, and I remember one time, I'll never forget. Someone knocked on the door at 2 a.m. And they're like, we heard this is where the lights are. They were high out of their mind, of course. We're like, and I was polite. I wasn't rude. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's 2 a.m. though. And they're like, can you turn it on just for like a second? I'm like, it's not that simple. Like, it's actually, it's a whole ordeal, like, for setup. Like, but if you come back at this time, we'll be able to watch the show. You sure you can't just turn it on right now? We just drove out here. Like, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? But you can watch it all out here. Of course, whenever someone rings the doorbell at 2 a.m., you're thinking something's wrong. You're thinking it's the police. Yeah. You're thinking it's a medical. Something's not right. No one rings the doorbell at 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so totally freaking out. Like, no, the light show's not running right now. So now no one comes up here. So we have never had a single person drive up because they saw the lights. Whereas in my old house, we would have maybe 100 to 200 people a night come.
Wow.
Without while I'm programming. Yeah, it was.
And at a certain point, you're like, I have to get out of here. I can't work and do this.
Well, what I would do is I would put a cord in my car, and I would sit in my car watching it, and then I would have the wire. So half the time, people didn't even know it was me. That's what I ended up doing.
Oh, okay.
And also because it was cold, and I'm a princess when it comes to the weather. So, yeah. And as you know,
I'm really surprised. Whenever I was out there, I just
like,
had a
California. Yeah, like, that's.
I know. And it's like very similar climate, honestly. Besides it just like being in the valley versus Midwest, but I was like, it's 40s. I'm totally used to that. And then it like would dip a little bit to the high 30s, but then because like I want to talk about your recording schedule again, because like in the fireworks world, we're like in and out, and like we're done by 11, 12 midnight. You guys, lasers can go all night, right? Like,
yeah, we're done when we're done.
Like
lights. When we get the shots. This year we actually stopped earlier than ever. We actually stopped at 2 a.m. We literally got all our shots, and we're like, at this point, if we were just shooting, it'd be overkill. Yeah.
On the main filming night. But you guys were filming other nights too, where you were like up till the sunrise. You were out there from sunset to sunrise.
Yeah, we always go till sunrise. Yeah, we just go, we push until... and then we start taking photography shots, because actually right before the sun comes up is a great moment to get great still photos of the display. Yeah, but no, it's just, and I'm ironically, I'm a morning person, which makes it even harder for me, because I'm smart at 6 a.m. and I'm an idiot at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I'm an evening person, and that's what makes like, the evening shows so enticing, right? And like just like kind of works with my schedule. So you guys were like, oh yeah, okay, we're just waking up at like noon. I'm like, oh yeah, that's typical. And then you're like, but we're gonna pull another all-nighter. It's like, oh, okay then. And I was getting pretty cold at like 1 a.m. I'm like, you guys are like staying out here. You got that little trailer, and it's got a little heater in it, but you can only really seat like 3 people in there. And when you got,
I know, we're trying to, yeah,
I get a second trailer out there. It'll be fine.
I'm thinking about, I need to either modify the trailer or get a different trailer. Yeah. One of the things that keeps you going is if you're comfortable, you'll keep going. But if you're like uncomfortable, you're like, screw it. Because if you leave it open too much, you get bugs, because the bugs are attracted to the monitor lights. So,
I imagine they get in the shot too a little bit, like if they're going towards the house.
Well, it's mostly, the shot's only a small amount of time. What we're really doing is we're programming all night. Yeah, and that's most of our time is outside. It's the programming aspect. The shots, it's not so much of a problem, because then obviously the camera has no light. It's the house that has light, and there's probably bugs in there, but we don't see it. We usually see bats and birds, like getting freaked out by the lights flying all around. So.
I did notice there was one shot during like one of the
comedic
like,
one with the
monologue.
explosion.
Yeah, where a bird flew.
And a bird like came out of there.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Added a fake bird sound for the comedy of it, but people would think the bird was fake. But that was real. Like we just scared the crap out of a bird on the roof. in
the fireworks edit that I just made, I was like, okay, here are all the effects that we used, and here's that bird was unharmed. You can see it.
Yeah. Well, emotionally might have been harmed, but not physically harmed.
Yeah, it was probably scarred for life, but those are
PTSD. I've seen some things, man. You wouldn't believe it.
So we talked a lot about this year's show, and it was incredible. Oh yeah, and just to kind of wrap up like your setup there, you have your house and all the lighting and projections and things towards the house or on it. You've got the LED or the lasers and the floodlights on the top as well. And you've got this like fountain in the front of the house, and your tree characters in the front of the house, and then you've got like your lawn expanse where you've got some other LED set pieces going on, and then behind the camera you've got your little trailer that we just mentioned, which is where you guys have computers and monitors set up, and you guys are in there programming and making sure the lights all go the way that you want, and you're like experimenting all night long in there. So that's just like the coolest setup I've ever seen. And then what was like the beam up above the trailer? That
was the truss system, and that was the truss that we talked about earlier, and that was covered with a tarp, and it was only like a foot wide. That's a termination point for the lasers. So with lasers, you can't just, even though people think we shoot them up into the sky, we're not. The beams we do, like the regular moving head stage lights, we go up to the sky. That's not a problem because they have a 2-degree dispersion. So even though that looks like laser-ish, it actually is dispersing, whereas lasers have an almost negligible diversion, right? So because that it's a laser here, it's also a laser in the sky. We have to be careful about that. So we have to terminate the lasers. So to terminate them, we have that truss system, and then we have the lasers actually pointing to it. And then where the camera is, a lot of times it looks like it's actually going into the sky, because when you look at lasers, it's still like this little beam, right? So you can't tell. But if you're, when you look from the side, you can see the lasers are actually just shooting above the camera. They're not going into the sky.
Right.
It just
so it's
looks
hitting
that way from the camera.
Barrier so it doesn't go up into the sky and interfere with like air traffic or things like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to hit like a cockpit window or something like that, and then you wouldn't want to hit like cars while they're driving by down the road too. So we just have to be very careful about that. And Drake's really good about making sure that everything we do is completely legal.
That's awesome. That's just something that I had totally not considered. So I learned a whole lot whenever I was on set with you guys, because it was just like all these different things that you really don't necessarily get to experience or be in the presence of with like regular like fireworks shows. So that was it was a treat for me. I want to ask you for the future, creatively, where do you go from there?
Oh, I know, but I won't tell you. So every single year I have at least one like ace in the hole. I still have like a secret that we can like pull up. So this year we added 2 technologies, and both of them succeeded. I was prepared to add 3, and I kept one secret. So that way, in case the other 2 fail, I know the other one will work.
Awesome.
And I just don't talk about it. And I do that on purpose because, when we're doing new things, we're doing things, it's not like new, like we've invented it. We're not inventing projection technology. We're not inventing water technology. But I would say we're known to pioneer what is common into the household technology. So like when we started using moving heads, right? We weren't the first to use moving heads, and I don't think we deserve that credit. But I think we were the ones to make it popular. And I don't anticipate we'll make lasers popular, but we'll make them more popular than they are because of, of the amazing work that Drake's doing. Because obviously lasers aren't just, not just anyone can get it. I mean, you need variances for the laser, you need variances for either the show, the person, and depending on where you are, and maybe even a laser certification, depending on which state you're in. So, but like with water, right? We're not the first to use water in a display. I think we've done it cleaner than I've seen, but that might be just limited to what I've seen versus what's actually out there, right? So we're not doing like new things, but I think we're like just trying to do them and incorporate them and do them well. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like Apple technology, right? Everything that Apple does isn't like, or not everything. Most things that Apple does, probably an Android did it like 10 years before,
Yeah.
but maybe Apple does it like really, really well, and then
Right.
takes credit for it. But,
Popularized
we're
it
not
a
trying to
little
take credit for new technology, but we're just trying to do it really well.
But you're trying
so
to
that
one up
becomes-
yourself too, right? Every year, just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Right. As far as households, we don't feel like we're competing with anyone else other than ourselves, right? Just because it's also unfair comparison. Like, it's not fair to compare what 10 people can do compared to what one person can do. That doesn't make any sense.
That's true.
But when we have 10 people competing, what we did last year, like what did we do last year that can be improved on? What would be rad to do this year? So we're competing with what we did prior, and that's actually probably the biggest stress I have secretly. I guess it's not a secret because I'm telling you, but like my biggest stress isn't clients. It's our own expectations and the world's expectations of based on what we've already done. Well, actually, it's funny. Some people expect us not to be able to beat it, and then when we beat it, it's like, yes, right? And so far, I think we've done a pretty good job of like getting better in some aspects. Every once in a while, like we'll take 2 steps forward and take 1 step back, sort of thing. And like, I think we went too far. Or even this last video that we did together, Dan called it prior, and we're like, he was a little nervous about Sarajevo. We're like, these shots, like, we need these fast shots, but these shots leave a medium amount of smoke, and when we launch 300 in a row, I exaggerate a little bit, but like we might get a cloud, and we did. And then that cloud like washed out the camera. If you were here in person, it didn't look so bad on camera. Like, ooh, we can't do that again. We got to be really careful about like launching that many fireworks in a smaller area. When you're shooting out the single shots way higher, it's not so much of a deal. But those quick shots were, they're probably like, probably
right
like 50, 60 feet away. Yeah.
And they're right behind, and they're low level too. They're pretty low level, and they only just barely clear the house too. So you've got like this big like smoke.
Right. And it's also dependent on the wind, right? If we had
you don't have much
medium
wind
to high wind, it wouldn't be an issue. But because we had zero wind that you could feel, it made the smoke stack. So even like 30 seconds later, that cloud was still there.
Right, and then you're also racing against the fog incoming.
Oh yeah, that was... Yeah, exactly right. I don't think we'll make that same mistake again. We'll make new mistakes. And I should tell that to the team. I'm 100% okay with us making new mistakes, because that means we're experimenting. I just hate when we make the same mistake that we've already made and we didn't learn our lesson. Right. So that was one lesson we learned. One of the things that also was really hard this year, and there's nothing we could do to avoid it, was because of the moisture in the air, our film quality wasn't as good.
It was humid. It was really surprising.
Yeah, it was really, really humid. So, and there's nothing we can do to control that, right? So, if we could have the date flexible, we would, but because of the way that the county has taken over the firework permitting process, we lock in our date a month early, and we like pray it's going to be good. And
right.
I mean, obviously, if it was storming, we would say, okay, it's a no-go, right? But then it gets complicated because you have all these people from around the country flying in, like, hey, can you stay a few more days? And all these people are talented, and they have busy schedules. So.
Oh yeah, and they're booked up, right? Like, I know Drake had to leave like right.
Yeah, Drake's always on tour with artists, so like Drake was kind enough to give us a window when he could.
And we only had like 2 days for the 2 nights for the permit, right? For the fireworks, is that right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does that permitting process work? By the way, just out of curiosity, like a month
ahead of time, we have to tell them when we want to do it. I don't think they even want us to have an optional day. I think it's like not normal for them to do that, but we kind of push for it because most fireworks shows. The way the world operates, it's like it's New Year's Eve, it's 4th of July, it's graduation day. There's an event happening that it's unmovable. Right.
You're like, no, this is a filming set. We're making a movie, basically.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta have some flexibility.
Right. So this would be more like if we were in Los Angeles, if we were like in in that area, they have processes probably built for it because this is a production permit versus a fireworks show permit. Like we might be able to do it under a different category that has flexibility. Like we have continuous shots where over here they'll charge us like a couple $1,000s a day for that permit. So like we can't be like, hey, we'll take this week and spend $14,000 on options. That would be like just blowing money.
The first year that you guys did fireworks, what was the permit? Was it really like a pain to get that permit?
No, it was way easier. It was way easier. And the reason it was way easier is because the county was not involved. It was a dream. Last year, we almost didn't get it because we didn't know about this 30-day thing. And then I think our fire chief in fire department is so supportive. They called in and said, hey, we're doing this.
Good.
And they kind of like pulled a measure of seniorities, right? Where we're like, they're very supportive of what we do. If we're doing it the right way, we're getting the community involved, and they save the day. And this year it wasn't a complicated process. It's just tedious because you have to plan a month ahead of time. I would call ourselves almost like a production company, right? Well, sometimes we don't know our schedule until right before. We don't, like, if there's a storm coming, we don't want to film.
Weather and other schedule dependent. And we've got holidays because this year it was like right after Thanksgiving.
We are actually thinking about doing something really annoying because we might actually film, Christmas in October, and then we're not stressed because even though we have a fair amount of Halloween grand openings, we have a ton of Christmas grand openings. And the same time where we want to be filming, we're also on site at 40 different locations.
You guys make it look easy.
No.
I'll tell you that. You do. You make it
We're
look
so
easy.
tired. Trying to make it so the work is spread out a little bit better.
That's good.
But one of the things that makes it hard is every year we add new technology. And when we add new technology, we're adding new things that we're not prepared for.
Right.
And we don't expect it to fail.
So you're keeping yourselves on your toes with new tech, and you're sleep deprived, and you're nocturnal when you're not naturally nocturnal, and you've got all these concurrent projects that you're also working on.
Right.
What else?
And we have responsibilities to all of our clients. Exactly. And then we're getting phone calls constantly.
You started this not because it's easy, but because you thought it would be.
Yeah. And that's not, we didn't really start it because of that, but that's our joke. Yeah. We started it because it's just hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did this?
And that's how it continues to be fueled, right? It's like, what will bring joy to people? And you bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, even just with the videos. Like, people love that stuff. And we got to plug your website once again, magicallightshows.com. And a lot of this stuff is like super, like maybe the viral productions that you do nowadays are not like super attainable to the average homeowner, but the LED set pieces.
You can buy, we have packages where you don't have to understand the technology. You never have to open up a computer. Simple. You can buy it, just put it together, put the pixels into the into the props, following the wiring diagrams, and literally the show's ready to run. We used to do a lot more of only the custom installations, and we found out there's a lot of people who they didn't want to learn any of it. And we respect that. They just wanted it to work. They didn't want to be on their computer for 80 hours.
Some people want just the kit to set it up, plug in and play it, and go and impress their neighbors and their kids. And other people do want that custom setup where they can use your system and create something totally customized. And so you do offer that as well, which is awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to mention about this year's show, Magical Light Shows, your work, anything else, Tom?
We're always happy to be able to work with the Spirit of 76. Your fireworks are gorgeous, and we try to give the best that we can justice on camera, but in person, it's when you see it, you're like, I forgot how beautiful that is, right? This year was the first show I ever watched with myself. I've never watched a show personally because I've always been the drone operator, and I'm like, I think I've done this long enough where I'm just actually just going to watch. So this year, I didn't run a camera. I just watched the show. Like I said, we're very thankful for the relationship with Spirit of 76. Fireworks are gorgeous. You and Dan Haines and Dan Davis.
2. I've been calling him
Dan 2. Yeah, Dan number 2. They did such an amazing job, and they're just so much fun to work with. And I'm not saying this because it's it really is fun. You were there, it's a neat crew. And we don't have egos. We just have people who are really good at it, good at what they do, and they're, I think, excited to be part of a team of other talented individuals as well in different artistry venues.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And you guys were such gracious hosts, so thank you very much for having us and just providing this opportunity basically for all these different art mediums to come together. I already said it was like very, very enriching for me just to be able to be present with that and to like, I helped with the fireworks setup. I helped a little bit with recording, mostly just providing my my camera for the cause essentially, because after it hit like 2 a.m. I was like, peace.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, right. But no, it was just like such a rewarding time to be there and just super educational, super like eye-opening to see all the different pieces come together. The most talented crew that you could have selected was there and on site, and everyone was so passionate and so talented and knew what they were doing, and such a pleasure to work with. So it was just a great time overall. And for anyone listening / watching this, you should absolutely go check out Tom BetGeorge on YouTube. Go check out magicallightshows.com. These shows are freaking insane. Like, they're so cool, so many things going on, but at the same time, it's just like such a beautiful masterpiece. So thank you, Tom, for being on here.
Of course.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And well, this will be our behind the scenes, so enjoy it and go enjoy the full production as well. And Tom, we'll see you in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sam. Talk to you soon.